All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. So you wanted to know more about how universities are using AI and what ethical considerations are coming up. So we dove into some course descriptions
Yeah.
from a professor at National Taipei University of Technology in Taiwan. But get this,
Okay.
this isn't about students using AI to learn.
Right.
It's about how professors are teaching about AI and all the ethical questions that come up.
Yeah, that's right. And we actually got our hands on some actual course syllabi
Wow.
from Professor Hung-Chia. So we're getting like a firsthand peek into how a university in Taiwan, which is a major tech hub,
It's huge.
is tackling these cutting-edge topics.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that really jumped out at me was that AI isn't just one subject here. Like, it's woven into so many different courses.
Exactly. So you've got courses that dive right into the tech, like artificial intelligence and multimedia applications, but then there's management information systems, where AI is explored in the context of business and society.
Oh, interesting.
And Professor Chen even brings it into information services and customer relationships, which touches on like AI and marketing and customer relationship management.
So it's not just this, like, niche thing,
Exactly.
tucked away in a computer science department.
It's everywhere.
It's becoming fundamental, really.
Yeah.
I think what I also found really fascinating was just how practical these courses seem to be.
Oh, absolutely. Like Professor Chen actually encourages students to use AI tools during class.
What?
Yeah, for discussions and assignments.
Wow.
And the software he mentions, like Stable Diffusion, ChatGPT, Notion AI.
Oh, yeah.
These aren't just theoretical tools. This is what professionals are using every day in the real world.
Right. Like, it makes me wonder what kind of impact that has on how these students learn. I mean, if you're actually using AI to, like, complete assignments,
Yeah,
does that make the concepts more concrete somehow?
it's a great question. It certainly seems like it would make the learning experience like more engaging and relevant,
For sure.
especially for students who are so used to interacting with technology in their like everyday lives.
Right. You're not just reading about AI in a textbook.
Yeah, exactly.
You're actually getting your hands dirty,
Yeah.
experimenting with it, maybe even making mistakes
For sure.
and learning from them.
Learning from those mistakes, yeah.
But speaking of making mistakes, that kind of brings us to the ethical considerations. I mean, with all this emphasis on the how-to of AI,
Yeah,
does Professor Chen also address the should we?
he does.
Okay, good.
And it's really impressive how he integrates ethics into these courses.
Okay.
Like corporate ethics and sustainable management is a core course. It's not just an elective.
Really?
Yeah, it's significant.
Yeah.
It suggests that Professor Chen really sees ethical decision-making as a, like, fundamental skill
Right.
for anyone working with AI. It's not just about creating, like, these tech wizards. It's about cultivating responsible leaders.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's not just that course. Even in, like, the other courses, he explores things like data privacy, the potential for job displacement, the role of AI in a sustainable future.
Right.
I mean, these aren't just hypothetical issues either.
No.
These have real-world implications.
Absolutely, especially in a tech hub like Taiwan, right?
Right.
Like the decisions that are being made there about how to develop and use AI
Yeah.
could, like, have ripple effects globally.
It's true. It really makes you realize that AI education isn't just about technical skills.
Well.
It's about equipping students to navigate this complex and, like, rapidly changing world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Professor Chen also seems to be pushing his students beyond the classroom walls, too.
How so?
Well, he encourages them to get involved in, like, national and international competitions
Oh, wow.
focused on sustainability and innovation, so, high stakes.
Yeah.
And he even uses gaming terminology to describe his teaching approach,
What? Like what?
talking about game operation and mission execution.
Yeah. That's so interesting. What do you make of that? Is it just like a way to make the courses sound more appealing?
Yeah.
Or is there, like, something deeper going on, do you think?
I think it's both. On the surface, it's definitely a way to, like, make the material more engaging, especially for students who, grew up with video games.
Yeah.
But I also think it reflects a shift in, like, how we even think about education.
How so?
Well, games often have very clear goals.
Right.
Feedback loops and a sense of progression,
Yeah,
all of which can be very motivating.
for sure.
So Professor Chen might be tapping into those same principles
Yeah.
to, like, create a more dynamic and rewarding learning experience.
That's interesting. It's like he's turning his courses into a kind of game
Yeah.
with, like, challenges to overcome and rewards to be earned.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and speaking of competition, Professor Chen seems to be a big believer in the importance of English proficiency.
He is, yeah.
Like, all his courses use English materials,
Yeah.
and they really emphasize presentation skills.
Right. And that makes sense considering that, English is kind of the lingua franca of the global tech industry.
Yeah, it's true.
If you want to collaborate with people from all over the world,
Yeah.
to share your ideas and innovations, you need to be able to, communicate effectively in English.
So we're seeing a real emphasis on, like, both technical skills
Right?
and what you might call soft skills, like communication, collaboration,
Yeah, for sure.
ethical decision-making. It seems like Professor Chen is really preparing his students to be, well-rounded professionals.
He is. And what's fascinating is that he's doing all of this within the context of a university in Taiwan,
Right?
a place that's deeply integrated into the global tech ecosystem.
Right, which is huge.
Yeah, so the questions he's asking, the approaches he's taking, they have relevance, far beyond the classroom.
Totally. So before we jump into the details of some specific courses, what stands out to you so far about Professor Chen's approach to AI education?
What really strikes me is the intentionality behind it. He's not just teaching AI for the sake of teaching AI.
Right, right.
He's actually trying to equip his students with these skills and the mindset they need to navigate a world that's being, completely transformed by this technology.
Yeah.
And he's doing it in a way that's both practical and ethically grounded.
I agree. It's clear that he sees AI as more than just a set of tools or algorithms. He sees it as this force that's going to shape the future.
Yeah.
And he wants his students to be active participants in shaping that future responsibly.
Precisely. And that brings us to the heart of the matter. What does this type of education mean for the future workforce?
Well, I'm guessing we'll see a generation of professionals who are more tech-savvy, ethically aware, and globally connected. But what do you think?
I think you're right on the mark. But the real question is, how will this new generation of AI professionals change the world?
That is the question. And it's a question we're going to have to explore further. But first, let's dive deeper into these individual courses and see what else we can uncover.
That's good.
Okay, so we've seen how Professor Chen is weaving AI into courses you might not expect, like information services and customer relationships. But let's circle back to a course we touched on earlier, corporate ethics and sustainable management. It feels like he's really making a statement by making that a core requirement.
Absolutely. By making it mandatory, Professor Chen is signaling that ethical considerations aren't just an afterthought. They're fundamental to working with AI.
Right. It's not enough to just know how to build the technology. You need to understand the impact it has on individuals, on society, on the environment.
And that's what I find so interesting about this particular course. It goes beyond the typical AI syllabus and tackles these bigger questions of responsible leadership.
Reading through the course description, I was struck by the range of topics he covers. It's everything from ethical decision-making frameworks to environmental regulations, corporate social responsibility, even things like data privacy, and the potential for AI to exacerbate existing inequalities.
It's like he's trying to give his students a 360-degree view of the ethical landscape surrounding AI, not just focusing on one narrow aspect.
And I love that he doesn't shy away from the tough questions. He doesn't present ethics as a simple checklist of do's and don'ts. He encourages his students to grapple with the complexities and the gray areas.
That's essential because in the real world, there aren't always easy answers when it comes to AI ethics.
Exactly. You might be faced with a situation where there are competing values at play, or where the potential benefits of an AI system have to be weighed against potential risks.
Professor Chen seems to be equipping his students to navigate those difficult decisions, to think critically, and to make informed choices.
Which makes me think about something you mentioned earlier, about how Professor Chen encourages his students to get involved in competitions. Do you think that practical experience helps them connect those ethical principles to real-world scenarios?
I think it could, definitely. Because in a competition, you're not just dealing with hypothetical situations. You're faced with constraints, with deadlines, with the pressure to perform.
It's like a testing ground for those ethical decision-making skills. You have to figure out how to balance your ambition to win with your commitment to ethical principles.
Exactly. And you're working with a team, which adds another layer of complexity. You have to learn how to communicate effectively, how to negotiate, how to find consensus when there are disagreements.
It's like a microcosm of the real world. You're getting a taste of what it's like to be a leader in a field where technology is advancing at an incredible pace and where the ethical stakes are incredibly high.
And speaking of high stakes, let's talk about Professor Chen's emphasis on English proficiency. It's interesting that he sees that as such a key skill for his students, even in courses that aren't explicitly about language or communication.
Well, it makes sense when you think about the global nature of AI. If you want to be a leader in this field, you need to be able to communicate with people from all over the world. You need to be able to read research papers, attend conferences, collaborate on projects, all in English.
And it's not just about understanding the technical jargon, it's about being able to articulate your ideas clearly, to persuade others, to build relationships.
It's about being a global citizen, really, someone who can bridge cultural divides and collaborate with people from different backgrounds to solve shared problems.
Exactly. And it seems like Professor Chen is fostering that global mindset in his students, not just through his language requirements, but through his emphasis on collaboration and competition on an international stage.
Okay, so we've talked about corporate ethics and sustainable management, and we've touched on how Professor Chen is preparing his students for a globalized workforce. Now, let's shift gears and dive into a course that sounds particularly fascinating to me: artificial intelligence and multimedia applications. This one seems like it's all about pushing the boundaries of creativity with AI.
It does. This is where we get to see how Professor Chen is using AI not just to analyze data or automate tasks, but to create something entirely new.
Okay, so artificial intelligence and multimedia applications. I'm excited to dig into this one. It sounds like Professor Chen is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI in the creative space.
Yeah, from the looks of the syllabus, he's definitely diving deep into the tools and techniques that are driving innovation in multimedia.
It really is impressive, the sheer variety of AI software he's using. We're talking Stable Diffusion for image generation, ChatGPT for writing text, even Notion AI for brainstorming and organizing ideas.
And it's not just those big names either. He's also introducing students to some lesser known but really powerful AI tools like Gamma, Tome AI, Kamakai.
It's like he's giving his students this incredible toolbox full of AI gadgets and then encouraging them to play around. Experiment, find what works best for them.
Absolutely. And that experimental approach seems to be woven into the whole structure of the course. Students have a lot of freedom to choose their own projects, explore their own creative ideas.
Which makes sense. If you want to foster true innovation, you can't be too rigid. You have to give those creative impulses space to breathe.
Exactly. And speaking of creative impulses, Professor Chen doesn't limit the course to just 2D image creation. He's also exploring 3D modeling and animation using AI tools like SketchUp, Luma AI, and Genie.
Wow, so students are actually creating virtual worlds and bringing characters to life using AI. That's wild.
It really is. It highlights how rapidly AI is transforming the creative landscape. What was once only possible with really expensive software and specialized studios is now accessible to anyone with a laptop and an internet connection.
It's incredible. And he doesn't stop there. He even covers AI-powered music creation, introducing platforms like SoundDraw, AIVA, Stable Audio.
It's like he's determined to equip his students to navigate this new AI-powered creative landscape, no matter what their interests are.
It really does seem that way. He's preparing them for a future where AI is integrated into every aspect of the creative process.
He is, but it's important to note that he doesn't lose sight of the fundamentals. He still emphasizes the importance of good design, compelling storytelling, effective communication.
Right. It's not about letting the AI do all the work. It's about understanding how to use these powerful tools to enhance and elevate human creativity.
Exactly. It's about finding that synergy between human and artificial intelligence.
And it sounds like Professor Chen is walking the walk, not just talking the talk. I mean, he's not just lecturing about AI, he's actively using it in his own teaching.
Absolutely. Remember how we talked about him encouraging students to use AI tools during class for discussions and assignments? That's a powerful way to show them how this integration can work in practice.
And I love that he explicitly encourages students to use AI for collaborative learning, using platforms like Google Notebook LM. It's like he's building this community of learners who are all experimenting and discovering together.
It's a world away from the traditional model of passive learning, that's for sure. Professor Chen's classroom sounds like a dynamic and interactive space where students are actively shaping their understanding of AI.
That's a great point. It's not about memorizing facts or mastering algorithms. It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, Experimentation, a desire to learn and grow.
Exactly. And by weaving AI into so many different courses and by emphasizing both the technical and the human aspects of this technology, Professor Chen is preparing his students to be so much more than just users of AI.
He's preparing them to be critical thinkers, creative problem solvers, responsible innovators, the people who can actually shape the future of this technology.
And ultimately, that's what's going to make all the difference. We need more than just AI technicians. We need people who understand the power of AI, but also its limitations, its potential for both good and bad.
People who can ask those tough questions, who can imagine new possibilities, who can guide this technology towards a future that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Professor Chen's courses. It's been fascinating to explore how AI is shaping education and how education, in turn, is shaping the future of AI.
And for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. What possibilities do you see for AI in your own field, in your own life? How can you be a part of shaping the future of this incredibly powerful technology?